Just what, pray tell, is Justin Trudeau's position regarding Syria? In the aftermath of the US-led airstrikes on Syria, Trudeau, while touring Peru, stated that Canada supported the decision to, quote, take action to degrade the Assad regime's ability to launch chemical weapon attacks against its own people, end quote. But on that very same day, Iqra Khalid, the Canadian Minister of Islamophobia, was a guest at a Toronto area event that actually honored pro-Assad activists. 3 words: what the hell? Well, Friday the 13th lived up to its billing last week when the US, the UK, and France bombed targets in Syria that were allegedly manufacturing chemical and biological weapons. Time will tell if the missile strikes will prevent Bashar al-Assad from lethally gassing his own citizens again, or if this will merely delay such horror. But Trudeau was quick to state that the federal government backed the mission. Indeed, here's Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland.
Now, when it comes to this use of chemical weapons, it is clear to Canada that that chemical weapons were used and that they were used by the Assad regime. It is clear that the Assad regime must bear responsibility for that, frankly, evil act. And it's also important that the allies of the Assad regime, Russia and Iran, share in that moral responsibility for this reprehensible use of chemical weapons.
Well, she didn't mince words. She even called the actions of Assad evil. Yet, that very same day, there were some other federal government announcements concerning Syria that inexplicably received very little press coverage from the media party. Indeed, while the likes of Trudeau and Freeland were condemning Assad, the censorship-happy Iqra Khalid took in an event that was honoring pro-Assad and pro-Intifada activists. The Canadian Home Office for Middle East Propaganda, aka Palestine House, held its annual commemoration of Land Day on Saturday, another one of those pathetic events about liberating a non-existent nation, yada, yada, yada. And FYI, Land Day is what those Hamas-led riots currently going on in Gaza are predicated on. Anyhow, the Grief Fest took place at the Capitol Banquet Hall in Mississauga, Ontario, and according to the American Center for Democracy and Economic Warfare Institute, the keynote speaker was Palestinian Archbishop Attila Hanna. Hanna is known for his support of Syria's Assad regime and the Palestinian Intifada against Israel. Makes sense considering they're all proxies of Iran, which, as we know full well, is bent on the destruction of the Jewish state. Here's what Hanna said on Facebook recently, quote, "We empathize our solidarity with Syria, its president, government, people, and army." And then he went on to add, President Assad is a distinct Arab national person, and history will record the name of this great leader who worked to foil the conspiracy against the state of Syria with the Arab Syrian army and all the sons of the Syrian people. President Assad is not a murderer or a butcher, as some say and circulate, but he is a distinct Arab national leader. Well, that's interesting. So we must assume what Ms. Khalid did here was quickly correct Mr. Hanna based on the statements by the PM and the Foreign Affairs Minister, right? Oh, but no, Khalid didn't admonish him. She applauded, and then she went on to hand out an award of honor to Amin El-Maoud, Palestine House's head of propaganda, public relations. And here's what Khalid, who hails from that freedom-loving regime known as Pakistan, where even Valentine's Day is under the ban, here's what she had to say about Amin, quote, "Come on, a round of applause for Amin. I met Brother Amin about 3 years ago now, and he has been a rock and a strong ally for myself, for the Palestinian Canadian community within Mississauga, Erin Mills, and today on behalf of myself and the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, I want to recognize the great work that Brother Amin has done for us and for Mississauga, Erin Mills," end quote. Whoa, stop the clock. Iqra was there on behalf of Justin Trudeau, handing out an award to an Assad apologist at the same time Trudeau was officially voicing his support for the attack on the Assad regime? What's going on here? Or is this a matter of custom fitting the message depending on who the audience is? In front of the international press, Trudeau puts on a front that he stands united with our traditional allies, and then when there aren't so many cameras or microphones around at an event sponsored by Palestine House, his gal Ikra presents an award to a brother who is pro-Assad. You know, it reminds me of that classic SCTV sketch with Dave Thomas depicting Bob Hope and how he customizes his comedy routines based on zip codes.
Look, Woody, I don't want to pull rank on you or anything, but I mean, I do this kind of stuff all the time. When you're in New York, you give them the Big Apple stuff. And when you're in Chicago, you give them the Windy City kind of.
Yeah, so when you're at the Summit of the Americas, you give them the anti-Assad stuff, and when you're at Palestine House, well, you give them the pro-Assad stuff. And really, what the hell is any government official doing at Palestine House to begin with? Remember, these are people who consider the establishment of Israel, the Middle East's only true democracy, as a, quote, historic disaster. These are people who demand the release of Palestinian terrorists from Israeli jails. Most of these prisoners, by the way, are from Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Al-Qaeda, many of whom were convicted of serious terror-related charges, including killing Israeli civilians via suicide bombs, shootings, and stabbings. And the PR flack for this rancid house of hate receives an award from the Canadian government? So which is it, Mr. Prime Minister? You say you supported the bombing mission in Syria, although I didn't see any CF-18s taking part, but then you go on to endorse a horde of haters who support the Assad regime. My take, folks? Well, I'm thinking Justin's words of support for the airstrikes are lies, and the compassion for the anti-Semites who reside at Palestine House is genuine. Well, genuine in the sense that, given the demographic changes in Mississauga, catering to Jew hatred could actually be seen as an adroit political strategy. Hey, Assad might be one evil bastard, all right, but evil schmeevil, at the end of the day, it's really all about getting reelected, isn't it? For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel has a brand new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.